I think addressing that argument, you need to confirm that you agree with them. That you agree. Nobody should be taking those legitimate rights away from women, and then concentrate on the specific differences.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the government limiting?
I think she's trying
before
to
you say
that.
So what we want people to take away from this is if you hear someone that makes that argument that says, "Gee, this is why abortion should be legal because then the government's going to come in and try to control family size."
Everything. Yeah.
Find the common ground first. First, you agree. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. I don't want the government
No
doing
one
that
wants
either.
that.
I'm big small government guy. I don't want the government saying that either. But then address it. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was going to say. No, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure no one misses that because that's so important.
Exactly. And I think sometimes when you're discussing this, you can use that common ground to make them to show them that their own argument is flawed. Because if somebody says, well, abortion should be legal because this and the government will take control, you go, you know what, you're exactly right. I don't think the government should take control over how big our family size is. And then stop. Because they're going to sit there and go, but you think abortion should be legal? Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference. Do you think? And now you let them go. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. What I said didn't make sense.
Instead of doing like this whole 30-minute sermon on them,
Exactly.
I think what I was going to say earlier that it came back to me is just that I think that Elizabeth is trying to find common ground. She's just doing it ineffectively.
Right.
I would agree.
She needs to listen to the life report.
She needs a little help.
She's doing, and I've seen people make this mistake before when they hear about common ground, where she's not only finding common ground, but she's actually kind of making pro-choice arguments.
Right. She's jumping on
She's
their
compromising.
side.
Exactly. So that's why if you're concerned about how to do that, you really ought to get Steve Wagner's book, Common Ground Without Compromise. Yeah. Steve, you
Shameless ploy.
Clip 9.
You were asked on a computer screen if you want to get rid of something, and this is what the file contains.
Why not?
Know what's in the file before you get rid of it.
Why do it when they're there? I mean, here's the first thing I want to do. I am also pro-life, and I am pro-choice. I'm for the best possible life that you can give your child. And if you end up having to give your child away, which many people do, the guilt of knowing that kid is out there, or what some people have resorted to doing when they discover they actually can't deal with it, they do terrible things to their kids. And so I wonder, if it isn't...
Is the best possible life death?
Yeah. No.
Okay, but again, I mean, she's putting. First of all, she's using these like arbitrary examples to lay her groundwork on. But secondly, I mean, the whole thing. I told you guys before. I wrote down when I read this. Let's all hug and let's say what's the right thing. I mean, it totally blows my mind. Like I'm just like. I mean, it's just this like a little teddy bear moment. I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice. I'm pro the best life for the child. And I will just say, one of the things that I have come to in my post-abortion work and even in just my own journey with my healing is that, well, okay, first of all, I just want to say to Whoopi, there are a lot of kids who are adopted who have wonderful lives, okay?
Since when are they all being abused?
Right. Exactly. And secondly, what I've talked to women about is when you make a choice for adoption, it's a better choice than abortion, and here's why. Because abortion is final. And if I had chosen adoption, and let's say, well, my child would not be old enough at this point, but let's say at some point in their life, in 6 years, when they turn 18, I want to try and contact them, I have that option.
Yeah.
With abortion, I took away all of my options.
Right.
There are no other options with that child except for seeing it one day, when I go to heaven. But besides that, I mean, so it does give people an opportunity to do something different besides track them down and beat them up, according to Whoopi. I mean,
And she implies that all women that offer their children for adoption feel guilty later. Like it's going to be this horrible thing.
And they shouldn't. It can be a wonderful choice. I mean, I can think of 2 of my friends right now who were adopted as young babies and young children, and they have wonderful lives.
Right.
They're in wonderful families.
But then you notice once again the only other option is they're going to be abusing their kids
but
because
she
they didn't want
cares.
them at the beginning.
She said she wants the best life possible for the children.
Which she's implying is abortion.
What does she do? What does she think we should do? Because there are children right now who are not having the best life possible. What's her solution? Because to be consistent with abortion, she would say all those little children in India having the not great life, or the kids in foster care who don't have the most supportive family system, it's not the best life possible. Let's take you down to the dog pound and put you under.
We're pro the best life
I'm
possible.
I'm pro-life, not pro the best.
And if she says, well, no, I wouldn't say that.
That's true.
If her response was, well, no, I wouldn't say that, then the question is going to be, why? What is the difference between the kids in India that are not having a good life, even if they're only 2 or 3? What's the difference between them and the unborn child that you say the best possible life for them oftentimes is abortion?
Yeah. Well, and if you believe in God, then you don't get to be God for other people. And if you don't believe in God, guess what? You still don't get to be God for other people. I mean,
Surprise.
So when you start making... Whoopi's basically taking that role into her hand, and like she gets to decide what's best for these children who don't have in her mind the best life possible. Okay, so how do you even define that? What defines the best life possible?
I could have a better life.
Because, well, yeah, I mean, but still, like you look at, for example, my stepdaughter that's special needs. She's got a great life. Does she have the same life as someone else her age that's fully functioning? Right. No. And some people, I know the kids that I've went and seen in Thailand have nothing materialistically, but they are some of the happiest kids I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's just, there's a lot of undefined, and she's taking a lot, into her own hands.
Yeah. In the end, there was one more clip. I'm not going to play it because we're running out of time, but they were talking about back alley abortions. And we've discussed back alley abortions before. In fact, if you're interested in hearing more about it, episode 76, we spent a good deal of time on it there. But I just want to remind people, because this actually came up recently, the mistake that pro-lifers often make when they talk about back alley abortions is saying that it never happened. That there has never been a coat hanger used, or there's never been a back alley abortion, because it's true. We know that most abortions were taking place in safe doctors' offices, but there was this small percentage. There was somewhere between 5 and 10% that were not in doctors' offices. And so, but this came up recently, and we're going to talk about this more next week, actually, because we got a listener mail about it, and we're going to talk about it. But I'll just say the question we should be asking is, when people bring up back alley abortions, is why should the law be faulted for making it more dangerous to kill innocent human beings?
Exactly.
Why should the law be faulted for making it more dangerous to kill human beings? We don't make bank robbery legal to make it safer for the felon. If abortion is killing a human being, then yes, we should obviously try to make it, we should educate them and have them not make that decision. But if they do, you can't fault the law for that.
Well, and be careful, one thing with that argument, it's a perfect logical argument that flows, that's the right way to address that fallacy. But when you're talking to a person, you have to be very careful to still address concern for women, because nobody wants a woman to have to go through an unsafe, unsanitary procedure with a rusty coat hanger, in a back alley, if anybody's stupid enough to do that.
Real quick.
The law really has nothing to do with that, though. I mean, I've talked to women, post-law change of Roe v. Wade, who have still done self-abortions in their bathrooms with a screwdriver or whatever else they've told me about their stories. Yeah. Legal or not legal doesn't change that stuff happening. I mean, I'm not saying that makes it, but I'm just saying the law really has no bearing on that.
They can say it'll happen more often if abortion becomes illegal. And once again, our ploy then is not to say that, well, that's never going to happen, you're wrong. Right. I'll accept that every once in a while it might happen. And we'll talk about a story next week that kind of makes that point. But once again, that question instead should be, why do we fault the law for making it more dangerous to kill innocent human beings? Next week, we're responding to listener mail. We've got a big pile. Check us out then.
You've been watching Life Report, pro-life talk, real-world answers. Life Report is produced by Right to Life of Central California. Visit their website at fresnoprolife.org.